on housing. And I am happy that I'm asked to share a few words with you. But it's not my favorite platform. As you know, I'm a very shy person. And you know, I don't like to talk a lot. But the fact is, every time I speak housing, I get very emotional and passionate about it. Because when we came into government in 2000, in the midst of some serious economic and social crises, and when we look at the statistics on housing, this Labour Party government decided to tackle this problem with both hands. It was terrible. And many of you young professionals never lived through this. Some of you were not born yet. And even those of you who were born were too young to understand that. And sometimes heart-wrenching to speak about it. That you had families across the country still sleeping on dirt floors in various communities. You had families, 7, 8, in those days there we made plenty children. 7, 8, 9, 10 children, more than a father, living in a one-bedroom shack. We had people who would scramble for the garbage to find loose galvanized codfish boxes. In those days, we imported codfish in boxes. And you know the pleasant smell of codfish. Today, they bring them in cardboard boxes, so you don't even take the smell anymore. But these wooden boxes, and we'd wait until this merchant threw these boxes outside of their stores, and then we'd go and collect it and use it to build our homes. And I'm talking about 22 years ago when this Labour Party came into government. That is what we met. With thatched roof houses and rotten galvanized. No washroom facilities, no bathroom, no water, no lights. That is how people lived before the Dominica Labour Party became government. And I've seen it all. I've been there from day one, and that's why I tell you I get very emotional just describing what we met. And this is what really gave birth to the housing revolution, with several component parts. But time would not permit me to go through all the stages of the housing revolution. But I will probably only deal with a few that are relevant to the discussion today. Now, just 2 days ago, 57 families received their keys to their newly constructed homes under the Housing Recovery Project. These 57 families, out of 420 who have qualified and will eventually receive their homes by the end of 2023, these families can now sleep under in more secure conditions, under their own roof, in their own homes. Some of these families have been displaced, have been separated, because their homes were totally destroyed by Hurricane Maria. Some of them knocked to galvanize and to post together to create a temporary shelter for themselves. Some of them went to live in the vulnerable areas where their houses were before the hurricane. Today, we are developing homes for young professionals, public officers. It's amazing. Our efforts are to provide every eligible Dominican with a gateway to proper housing where they can build new lives, build new livelihoods, build new families, and build new careers. And this work is spread across the country and is available to every citizen of Dominica, regardless of your political background, your color, your race, your religion. It's a national endeavor, and it's intended to touch the lives of every Dominican, particularly the most vulnerable. After Hurricane Maria and Erika before it, we promised to our citizens to assist them in building back their homes and their lives. And while it is not our responsibility, what we believe, talking from the heart, is a dream of every political party, I hope, to go out of the way, to go outside of our normal boundaries, to ensure that our citizens are comfortable in housing, in health, education, etc., etc. We continue to take practical steps at the individual and community level to provide all citizens with a safe haven and to build resilience at the national level. Like I said, I can point to some of the initiatives within the sector which underscores the government's commitment to the housing revolution and the well-being of our people. I do not want us to have any misconceptions about our housing projects, particularly the government housing project, the Housing Resilient Project funded by the World Bank. This government have had to dig deep into its financial and visionary resources of the Prime Minister to ensure that after the Hurricane Maria in particular, we could attempt to restore the housing sector to a respectable position. Like I said, at the end of this program, we would have housed 420 Dominican families. And that will cost us 40 million US, which was a loan. And I really have to emphasize that. This is not World Bank money. This is the government of Dominica and the people of Dominica's money. Like every other loan the government contracts for any project, the project does not belong to the person who gave you the money. It belongs to the people of Dominica. And eventually, we'll have to pay back this money. There are terms and conditions under which these monies have been borrowed. And all these people getting these free homes that they don't have to spend for, somebody has to pay for it. And they tell you, well, it's World Bank money, so what? This is not World Bank money. The funds came from the World Bank, but it's the government of Dominica who secured the loan and who have to repay that loan. I want to take you back to 2006, when the government received $30 million of grant funding from the Venezuelan government and $3 million from the Chinese government to go specifically towards housing development. And as you know, at the time, we were coming from the 2000 financial crisis. You know where we were? We were under an IMF program. We had to make several sacrifices to refloat the economy and to bring the country back on stream. I remember we went to Parliament, and in order to raise revenue, we had to put a $5 tax on bicycles. Well, I'm not sure how much money collected from that because we didn't go through it. You know, imagine this little fella there, you know, riding his little bike up along the village, and you stop him and tell him, well, send the police and tell him where is $5, and if you don't have it, you take the bike. No, we did not put, but this is where we were at the time. We could have used those monies for anything because everything was bad, including paying public officers' salary. Because at that time, public officers were used to getting salaries 45 days late. But we chose, because we saw the need for housing, we chose to put those monies into housing. Is that a foreigner? Why don't send her back to the airport? Now, out of this $30 million, we first of all placed $7 million at the Government Housing Loans Board. Oh, the Government Housing Loan Board is is a financial institution established by the governments to make financing available at different rates so they could build their homes. And we put a cash injection of $7 million at the Government Housing Loans Board. And we instructed them that those monies should not be loaned to public officers at more than 4% interest rate. And subsequently, in 2009, we made available another $500,000 to the Government Housing Loans Board to take it so we could provide housing for public officers. under that program. 49 families were able to build their homes under that program. At the Aid Bank, we also gave them $7 million at the Aid Bank to provide low mortgage interest loans, and this time at 5%. So people employed within the statutory corporations who would not qualify under the Government Housing Loans Board because of the criteria, they could go to the Aid Bank and receive loans at 5%. And in 2012, we made another $5 million available to the Aid Bank, which meant $12 million were placed in the Aid Bank to ensure that persons could receive affordable mortgage interest rates. 162 people benefited from that. And when you add this to the Government Housing Loans Board, 211 people were able to build their homes and to secure their families and to begin to enjoy a comfortable life by a direct government intervention. Now, two things came out of that. One, that people could now build their homes at 4%, but very importantly, that action by the government forced a reduction in mortgage interest rates. At that time, interest rates were between 10 and 13%. I heard somebody say 15, I don't want to go right there. Between 10 and 13%. That is what a mortgage loan would cost you. And many public officers at the time were having difficulties in accessing those funds. Far less for somebody who was not employed or self-employed. And because of the reduction in the interest rate, many people benefited. And the entire country, because now you could walk into the institution and enjoy, well, 6%. That's when mortgage interest rates in Dominica started going down. So that is one of the positive impacts of the housing revolution as early as 2007. And many people thought that this revolution would not be sustainable. Say, how come government give people cheap money so and free homes like that? But thank God, after 16 years, the housing revolution is growing to the point that we are here today, adding another component to that housing revolution to benefit our professionals, our young people, and our public officers. Let us not forget the squatter regularization program. A program which allowed people who had squatted on state property for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Since Hurricane David, people were squatting. Those lands were valued at $7 and $8 a square foot. That is what they were asked to pay, and these people who came, they could not pay that. Those of you who know Fonkole and Kings Hill and Tarish Peak. And I mention them because they were the biggest recipients or beneficiaries from the squatter regs. And today, if you stand by the port and you look at the hillside, you will never be able to recognize that that was the community after Hurricane David. Total transformation with 4-story buildings, 3-story building, upstairs, downstairs, well painted, water, electricity. We have some challenges there, but that does not take away from the fact that we did improve the housing conditions, which made a big social impact on the lives of the people from Fonkole and his communities. And now you can go and you'll see them in the colleges. I looked at the graduation, and I could identify people from Stock Farm and Yampis and Tarish Peak and Fonkole graduating with honors. This could never have happened had it not been for the conditions under which they live, the conditions under which they study, and the comfort of their relatives having to go to the bank with their certificate of title, because that is what it meant to them. They have their titles. You're asking me for a title. Go and ask if Fonkole bill for their title. They have title, and they use those titles to go to the banks and to secure loans, to fix their homes, to put their upstairs, and to send their children to school, and to seek medical attention from officers. So yes, they'll get their titles. We promise them their titles, but not on your time, on our time as a government, because we have a lot of work to do in this country, and we should not be distracted by these petty, frivolous statements. I'm sorry, I had to digress a little bit. Now for the Kalinago people, and like I say, if I have to go through all these things, they only gave me 15 minutes, which I think is unfair. To ask me to speak on such an important matter that I'm so passionate about for 15 minutes, 16 years in 15 minutes, can you believe that? But it is what it is. In the Kalinago territory, serious improvement in the housing conditions. As we speak, and out of the activity we had on Thursday, 12 Kalinagos received the keys, 17. And under the entire program, 100 Kalinagos will receive the keys. And that is not because of any preferential treatment. It's because they suffered, because of the conditions of their home, they felt the impact of Hurricane Maria more than anybody else. And then you're telling me we should leave the Kalinagos under their straw roof and their thatch roof and their veutive? No. We're also doing 50 homes under the EU program for the Kalinagos. And we have invested heavily in material and in construction for the Kalinago people, transforming the lives of the people of the Kalinago territory and giving them an opportunity to participate in the general development of their homeland and their country. We have the sustainable housing homes from Barbados, another component of the housing revolution, and of course, the famous MMC housing development. And you can go to Bellevue Chopin, and this is what the MMC housing development is about. And you can go to Cotton Hill in my constituency, and to Georgetown, and to La Plaine, and to Delis, and more recently to Joe Burton in Wesley. This is the impact of the MMC housing development. And you'll be seeing much more of that as we move into the future. So in many parts of the country, our citizens have been benefiting from the restoration of individual homes on a needs basis. We have the sanitation program, the housing repair program, and all these are programs initiated by this government under the housing revolution. So today we're moving ahead, we're adding another component, targeting our professionals in the public service and the private sector, who we have heard asking for opportunities to own their own home, and the government is responding. This program is about giving young people a start with an affordable housing option. We'll start in one, as I've been said, on Cotton Hill, and we'll move to other communities across the country. Our aim is to, in 5 years, to do 5,000 homes. And there is no telling where this component will lead us, because it's not a giveaway, but it's an opportunity to receive a home at a reduced interest rates. That's why the banks are with us. But also, you'll also receive they call it subsidy, I don't like that word subsidy, but a reduction in the actual cost of the home. So whatever the home is built for, you'll receive a subsidy. So these homes will never pay back for themselves. You'll receive a subsidy and give you this opportunity that you are looking for. I'm very excited for the young people. The government of Dominica, it's a challenging period for us. There's a lot that needs to be done. We're still recovering from Hurricane Maria and Erica, and even more so from the pandemic. And you know the untold damage that this pandemic has had on our people and our economy. But we have to do what we have to do. And housing is a major platform for this government's development. In closing, I want to say to you that the hallmark of this government's, this administration, is our belief in consultation. And that is why you have this very powerful advisory group, because we consulted with you before we came to a final decision, designs, locations. It was as a result of that. We also believe in collaboration and in partnership. And apart from the consultations that we had with young people, we're also collaborating with the private sector. You know, there's many private sector people here today. We collaborate with the trade unions, the business sector, to get the feel and to see how they can participate in making this program a success. And they will decide and they'll tell us what they feel they can do as private sector entities, from where we'll get the stones, the sand, the cement, the steel, the plywood, the boards, the galvanized, the louvers, whatever is required to construct a home, that we expect to come from the local private sector. And we're hoping that in the song deliberations, they'll be able to offer to you, the young people, some contribution towards meeting this noble objective. and partnership with the financial institutions. We consulted with them, and you heard this morning that they're seriously looking at reductions in the interest rate on these facilities. Some 5, 5.5, but it's still work in progress. But all we know that we've been hearing 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4. So I expect it to be somewhere in the region of 4 by the time they conclude their discussions. And that will be novel and very interesting. So we need that partnership. And I believe moving forward, and the government has always done that. Because this is the first government who, even before our budget, we have pre-budget consultations, we have post-budget consultations, where we solicit the views of all sectors within the economy, so it can assist us in drafting a budget that would meet the dreams and the aspirations of the majority of the people of Dominica. And so I really want to thank you, the young people, for being part of the advisory group to work with the government. And our friends said to advise the government. That is fine with me, I don't have no problem with that. But we invited you to be part of this process. And to this day, to this point, we are very happy about the contributions that you have made to getting us to this point. To the other institutions, financial institutions, they're fully on board. We want to thank you for heeding the government's call to participate. And of course, these things would never happen had it not been for the vision of Roosevelt Skerry. And we can add the cabinet, but Roosevelt Skerry is the head of the cabinet. And he gets the ideas, he runs it by us, we discuss it probably for weeks, months. Sometimes we take too long discussing issues and innovations raised by the Prime Minister. But that is democracy for you. This is our democracy. But the Prime Minister has been a champion of housing, of the housing revolution in this country. He has to find the money. And he is also a champion for this new housing initiative. And we have to applaud the efforts of this Prime Minister in getting us to this point. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are exciting times for our country. When we look at what's happening around us, the challenges being faced by many countries. And people say, you talk about the Ukraine war, but it has a tremendous impact on what happens here. Cost of building material is shooting up every day. Look at the cost of petrol. This is not because of the fault of the government. This is as a result of external pressures being brought to bear because of the Ukraine war. But the government has never relegated on its duty, its functions, and will continue to do whatever we have to do to ensure that the Dominican people continue to enjoy. They have started, but to continue to enjoy the best of what life has to offer. I want to congratulate you, the young people. I want to wish you well, and I really wish that you would continue to be an advisory group to the government on other matters. You have plenty of people. You have everything that we need in this country is embodied there in this advisory group, according to my friend at the back there. Please, we really want to commend you for your tremendous effort and your interest in national development. Thank you. God bless you.
One thing's for sure, two things for certain. When Honorable Austri comes to speak, he will talk about money and he will go overtime. But then again, how can you expect a man to say what he has had on his chest for 16 years in 15 minutes? But at this time, thank you, Honorable Austri. At this time, we will have the official website launch. A very simplistic and effective website, straight to the point, and pretty much has all the information that you would require. So kudos to the website developers, another dynamic group of young persons. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the official website of the Future Housing Program, Empowerment Through Ownership, a Path to Generational Wealth. So we'll shift our focus to the screen for the official website launch.
So there are 6 stages to the registration. Step 1, you get to https://futurehousing.gov.dm. Then you click register now. Then the 3rd step is register a new user. The 4th step, provide the information that's required, and then simply click register. Awaits a confirmation email. So you get to the website, click register now, register new user, provide the information, click register, and this is it. Very simple and to the point. Thank you.
All right, that was quick and easy. That was very quick and easy. Sorry for the interruption with our visuals. So at this point, I just want to know why no one-bedroom apartments or one-bedroom houses. And I want to hear that story about that one-bedroom home. But it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you a truly visionary and transformational leader. Forward-thinking and futuristic is he. There's a quote by John C. which says, by the age of 50, one would like to know that they are not dead, that there is some continuity to their life. And at this point, without many words needed, I present to you Honorable Dr. Roosevelt Skerritt.
Thank you very much. Let me first of all recognize Honorable Minister Skerritt, the Member of Parliament for the Rosa Central constituency, who happens also to be my wife. Honorable Joseph Isaac, Honorable Reginald Ostry, Honorable Cassidy Laville, my cabinet and parliamentary colleagues present, permanent secretaries, the advisory committee members, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends all, the media, and I see scores of young people present, which says that this program is truly reflective of the thinking of so many young people across Dominica. I want to say with regards to those who qualify, it is 45 years and younger, as stated by the permanent secretary, but we will apply some discretion if someone is slightly over that age 45, and this will be done on a case-by-case basis. And just a point of clarification, the first phase will target young professionals and young people who are resident in the Commonwealth of Dominica. And at some point, we will also extend it to those of us, or those who live in the diaspora, Dominicans who reside in the diaspora. My dear friends, our housing policy is premised on the understanding that government has a responsibility to provide for the more vulnerable in our society who have greater difficulty fending for themselves. As long as we're able to, we will continue to respond to the needs of our people for safe, resilient, affordable housing. In the Dominica Labour Party's manifesto, 2019 manifesto, we pledged that the people of Dominica would be properly housed, and that our national housing stock would be amongst the highest quality and most resilient in the Caribbean. We have and continue to deliver on this promise to provide new and upgraded homes of superior standard to our citizens across the length and breadth of Dominica. We are making these interventions during a period of severe strain on economies worldwide, including our country, Dominica. Due to the war in Ukraine and the COVID-19 pandemic, we are grappling with rising inflation and the corresponding increases in the price of goods and services. Recognizing also with this, government's revenue has also been impacted. But we must do what we must make do, and we cannot, even in difficult times, abandon our responsibilities to our people. We persevere with our social safety net programs because at the core of our development agenda is the well-being of our people, especially the most vulnerable groups in our society. In every community in Dominica, you will find evidence of this government's intervention to care for the elderly, provide employment for young men and young women, and provide secure dwellings for individuals and families to thrive. So these programs are continuing uninterrupted. And now we're expanding our housing revolution and widening its scope to target more of our population. The Future Housing Program will see the construction of homes for sale to young professionals and young Dominicans who are employed within the public and private sectors and are looking to invest in their own home. The tagline for this program reads, "Empowerment through ownership, a path to generational wealth." These words were chosen very deliberately to convey the exact objective of this program, which is to hand members of our working class the means to invest in their own properties. This can then be used as security to build greater wealth, which can be transferred to their children and grandchildren. In Dominica, we do not have a deep-seated culture that takes this into consideration. But with proper generational wealth planning and management, wealth can be passed down for many generations within families. This is important because we all want to give our children a significant financial advantage early on in their life so that they have a better chance at successful and progressive futures. There are several attendant benefits to the Future Housing Program. Home ownership is much more than putting a roof over your head. Purchasing a home is a foundational step for building generational wealth and one of the most consistent ways to build a financial bedrock for future generations. It is a stable investment that will appreciate in time and give you the confidence to expand your finances, invest more, and generally live comfortable lives. We can also talk about the equity which accumulates the longer you own your home, meaning that you will own a valuable asset to pass down. Of course, there are the softer benefits of owning your home. The comfort, safety, security, independence, the feeling of accomplishment and satisfaction you will feel as a homeowner is simply unmatched. Proper housing provides security for families and contributes to the strength and progress of communities. A stable home can positively impact our overall social, emotional, and economic well-being, and is a sanctuary where families can live in peace and dignity. What I would like to see as Prime Minister of this country is a situation where every family is an owner of his or her own home and not be a slave to so many deliberately selfish landowners in our country. As government, We have assessed your needs. We understand that in many cases you have difficulty accessing loans at your local financial institutions. You do not qualify because you do not yet have the capacity to meet the terms and conditions. We have listened to your calls for more equitable access, and we are responding with this innovative housing program for you, the young people of Dominica. The homes, upon completion, will be sold to you at less than the cost of construction. This is our way of subsidizing the overall cost of the home so that it is within your financial reach as young professionals and young Dominicans. It now becomes easier for you to qualify at the banks and credit unions which have come on board with us. And this is an important aspect of the future housing program. We have met with the major financial institutions in Dominica, and they have readily bought into the concept. In fact, they were very eager to get on board because they recognize that the program is innovative and forward-thinking, and that it targets clientele who are productive and progressive and in the prime of their lives. The banks have told us they will offer concessionary terms, in some cases as low as 4%. And there's one financial institution which has written to us indicating that they will offer 4% to those who qualify under this program. And there's another that has offered 4.25%. And the others are giving serious consideration to getting to around the 4%. So this is good news. And I want to thank all of the financial institutions who have agreed to partner with the government to make this program a reality for so many young people. And we've also invited other suppliers of goods and services in Dominica, because the intention there is to ensure that these homes that are being built, everything that we purchase will come from local suppliers and of goods and services in Dominica, to ensure that every single dollar can circulate in the economy of our country. And so I am very grateful for this extraordinary partnership. Today, my dear friends, you have the opportunity to interface with representatives of some of these institutions to find out more about their offers, their terms and conditions, and how you can qualify. I urge you to look into this opportunity seriously. As we have said before, if this first phase is successful, we will no doubt expand the program to other parts of the island. And based on the attendance I see here this morning, I have no doubt it is going to be extremely successful because of the interest that we're getting from our citizens. So we'll be moving to Hillsborough Gardens and St. Joseph in the next step. And the intention is to move to other communities so that we decentralize and ensure that we do not underpopulate one community and overpopulate the other. We'll ensure the population is evenly spread. And so, once this, as I said, this phase is done, we'll also extend it to Dominicans living overseas, because we have seen a dramatic rise in interest by the diaspora in owning properties in Dominica, whether it's vacation homes or spaces for rental to the private sector. And this is good news for all of us here in the country. Another important element of the future housing program is the appointment of an advisory group to guide the government as it develops and implements this program. It is made up of 20 young people who come to us from a variety of backgrounds and fields. These young people have been constructive in their recommendations to us. We have considered the suggestions, and in some cases we have had to caution them against some extravagances because we are older and more experienced. We know the ropes of home ownership, and we do not want them to repeat the mistakes some of us have made with home ownership. And also I believe the young people have a better appreciation of how government works and how difficult it is to unravel a project or a program of that nature and the various components of it. And so it's a learning opportunity for all of them and the government extending government in a sense. And you will see that same practice, we'll adopt the same practice in agriculture. We'll adopt the same practice in the development and expansion of our small business sector in Dominica. But really, because of the involvement in the Future Housing Program, the program is now more targeted, which truly reflects the wants and needs of our young people. I thank them sincerely for the commitment, for the committed effort on this project, and for their willingness to engage with the government to help create opportunity and open new avenues of advancement for the peers. The members of the advisory group represent those among us who have decided to stay here in Dominica to contribute to the development of our country, despite the pool of opportunity in foreign lands, and the barrage of negativity and anti-Dominican sentiment perpetuated locally and over social media as if it were a national pastime. And so I am very grateful for all of you young people who, like me, have decided that Dominica is our home, Dominica is our country, and we must work to build in Dominica. It is not a perfect country. It doesn't have all what we really would like to have, but we have to continue to aspire and to work together to get Dominica to where it ought to be. And the question we have to ask ourselves in this country, what is going to be our contribution? Are we going to be positive or are we going to be negative? And which of our choices will get our country to this point? And so my appeal to all of us in this country is to join forces with the government as we work towards getting Dominica to where we'd like it to be in the next 10 and 15 years so that we all can live prosperous lives. Because I would like to see our mission and my personal is to ensure that we can create wealth among our citizens. But we have to support each other. If we have a local program or project or investment, we as the consumers of this country must support it. We cannot want to see agriculture increase in terms of its contribution to GDP and farmers having more money in their pockets if we decide to buy the things that we produce here in Dominica and buy it from those who import it. So we have to change our consumption practices in our country in order to reduce on the export of foreign exchange and to have our own monies circulating in our economy to ensure the sustainability of jobs in Dominica. And the challenge is ours. Government has a part to play, but we all have our part to play, especially the consumers of Dominica. And so, with the Future Housing Program, the government of Dominica is saying to the youth, we see you. We recognize your love for country and your desire to build successful and rewarding lives right here in our homeland. You want to be part of the process of development. And we give you the firm commitment. Because as you know, I don't make promises that I can't keep. When we said we're going to build a completely new community in Belleville-Chopin, many Dominicans said this couldn't happen. But today we're here today to witness the construction of 380 homes in Belleville-Chopin by this government. And so I say to our young people, go out there, go on the website, fill out the forms so that we can have a clearer appreciation of the precise number of homes that we will need to build to satisfy the needs of our country, our citizens here. And for us, this is, it is an extraordinary, if I say so with great sense of humility, an extraordinary opportunity for so many of our young people to be able to afford home ownership. Home ownership. Because it's our dream and our aspiration as a country, our government, to have everyone have their homes. So I want to thank all of you for being here today. And we're going to move very quickly to start the construction of these homes. We will finalize the plans, get the feedback from you, and then move to start these homes very quickly so that we can have as many homes built in a quick time. And so the Future Housing Program gives us an opportunity to make it right here, as we say, in the Commonwealth. Thank you very much. God bless you. And let us work towards the development of Dominica Let us be positive. Let us be constructive. This is our country. And for the vast majority of us, this is the only place we'll ever be able to call home. And for those who have gotten the green cards, at some point the Americans will deport you. You know? Because there are some who are waving the American passport. Oh, I'm American, I'm coming to Dominica anymore. But you run off on a street light and they charge you and you have a repeated offense, they'll deport you. And where do you come back to? To the Commonwealth of Dominica. And so, while there are things that we would like to see improve, that is not a justification to speak ill of our country. This is not a justification to try to bring down our country. We must always be grateful to the Lord for what He has provided to us here in this country. And to look at the glass half full rather than half empty and work towards letting it get to the brim and overflow in our saucer. Can it happen? It can happen if we all put our voices and our efforts together to build a prosperous, a dynamic Dominica, where there is equity and parity, and we all can say, yes, we belong to this Commonwealth of Dominica. It can happen, but it is left to us individually and collectively to decide on what side of the fence we would like to stand. And it must not be lip service. It must be by actions and by deeds. And I give you that firm commitment that the government of Dominica is committed to engaging everyone in an effort to building a prosperous and dynamic Dominica. I salute you. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt. That was a very timely and interesting presentation. At this point, we'll have a member of the advisory group, another expert himself, Mr. Miguel Bruni, to give us the vote of thanks. Let's welcome Mr. Bruni.
Thank you, Madam Expert Co-Chair. Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Honorable Melissa Skerritt, spouse of the Honorable Prime Minister and the parliamentary representative for the Roseau Central constituents. Honorable Joseph Isaac, Speaker of the House of Assembly. Honorable Reginald Ostry, Senior Minister and Minister for Housing and Urban Development. Honorable Kasani Laville, Minister for Public Works and the Digital Economy. Other honorable members of Cabinet and Parliament, Ms. Karine Prevost, Acting Secretary to the Cabinet, Ms. Denise Edwards, Financial Secretary, Ms. Lisa Valmore, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, International Transport and Maritime Initiatives, Mrs. Missy Henderson, Permanent Secretary, Office of the Prime Minister, other permanent secretaries, Mr. Tariq Rule, Ms. Lakia Joseph, and Ms. Finella Wenham, members of the Advisory Committee, other distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Let us first give thanks to the Almighty Father for this wonderful day and allowing us to be gathered here for the launching of the Future Housing Program. I am indeed privileged to be a part of such wonderful initiative, the Future Housing Program. The theme, Empowerment Through Ownership, a Path to Generational Wealth, sends a clear message to all our young working professionals that they now have the opportunity to become new homeowners and, most importantly, pass their ownership to their children, creating generational wealth. Projects like this require the participation of various financial institutions and other necessary stakeholders to becoming a reality, and we are elated to have the full support of some of these institutions. I would like to encourage the targeted demographic to be very much aware of the opportunity which is being presented here today. I have heard many stories of young professionals, some of them even in our advisory group, for renting over 10, 16 years and not being able to buy or even build their dream homes or even own a piece of land. Through this future housing program, the government is committed to facilitating the transition of such persons to becoming new homeowners. So on behalf of the government, I wish to thank everyone for gracing us with their presence here today. I would like to express thanks to the various stakeholders who are making this future housing program possible. Without their integral support, it would be a challenge to bring a program like this to realization. I also want to extend thanks to the honorable speakers for enlightening us on what the true potential of this great future housing program has for us. As you can see around us, the various financial institutions and other stakeholders are present here today. And I encourage, again, the targeted demographic of young professionals who are here to visit the booths and start planning for your dream home. To the organizers of the event for your tireless work, the government would like to thank you for your continued support. And last but certainly not the least, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the Office of the Prime Minister and members of the Advisory Committee for their dedicated support, time and effort to the advancement of this program. Let us all work together to continue developing this great nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bruning. I got a message saying that PM hadn't given us the joke about the one bedroom, and we would not want you to leave here disappointed, so PM will come back on.
Some years ago, we handed over some keys to some beneficiaries in Chance in Portsmouth. And there was a friend of mine, an elderly friend of mine, he's still alive. His name is Lestrade. So we handed him a key. And I said publicly, well, look, we have given Lestrade a one-bedroom house because he was the only one with a one-bedroom house. Because I said, the way Lestrade is, I don't think Lestrade will find a girlfriend to put in the house anytime soon, And the reality is, before I got to town, Lestrade got a girlfriend in the house, And then, this girlfriend died and Lestrade found another girlfriend. So I said, look, I am very careful with this business, So I don't like to encourage the government to build one-bedroom homes. I have to make opportunities for any eventuality. Thank you.
So we got the joke. We have just completed the launching ceremony, and we move over now to the fair. Joining us today and partnering with us are the National Bank of Dominica, West Coast Cooperative Credit Union, Republic Bank is Limited, Central Cooperative Credit Union, Marigot Cooperative Credit Union, National Cooperative Credit Union, Do It Center, J. Astafan and Company Limited, Beacon Insurance, Sagico Insurance, and we prefer not to announce Government Housing Loan Board because they're part of the government. But all of them are here today. We encourage you to join them right after this ceremony. Just visit them and interact with them. They're waiting here. We encourage other businesses to join. We are still open. We're opening to everybody. So if you think you could contribute in one way or another, feel free to call us. You could contact me. You could contact PS in the office of the OPM. You could contact the Cabinet Secretary, the Chief Personnel Officer, and Minister Laville. Also, PM if you meet him, and any of the other parliamentary representatives. To those listening, we are here until 5. The fair will remain until 5. Feel free to join in. Thank you very much for listening to us. Thank you very much for participating this morning. We have a few refreshments. Just enjoy yourself. Thank you. Also, one more thing. If you received a flyer like this and you want to register, we have the code at the back. Just scan, you know, we're very modern, it's a future housing, so we're a modern country, and remember we have the digital economy, I see PS in the digital and the minister is there, so we're very digitally inclined. You scan the code and you go right onto the website. Thank you very much for coming.
Yes, we are live at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium forecourt, and I'm speaking with Ms. Fenella Wenham, well known in Dominica, very involved in working with the youth and so on. And here again, she is in a special capacity today, working with the Special Advisory Committee, working together with government on this future housing program. It's a pleasure to see you again, and in this capacity, always a pleasure to see you. Talk a little bit about what this means, your participation in this committee, and what that really means for our young people. It's a new day, actually.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. I appreciate your kind words. And just to begin with, I'll say that I'll always continue to champion the cause of young people. And so I was more than elated to be asked to represent our nation's youth on this particular advisory group, the one for the Future Housing Program. What it means is that our government is listening. They're listening to the voice of the young people. They have paid particular attention to our needs, and moving forward, they realize that they needed the participation of the young people because, of course, if you're planning for young people, who better to tell you what it is that they would need? Take note, I'm saying what it is that they would need and not necessarily what they would want. And this is what the advisory group serves to do. Give you the need of the diverse group of young people, because even if we're a group of professionals, it's a diverse grouping. We have entrepreneurs, we have people who are employed in the banks, we have teachers, we have architects, designers, landscapers, and the whole works. It is spearheaded by, of course, Minister Labil, a young man himself. And that, I think, it just brings light, it brings hope, and our young people should always be receptive to those sorts of opportunities. And, you know, equip yourself. And if you have your house, as our motto says, empowerment through ownership, path to generational wealth. You've heard Prime Minister Skerritt say that in Dominica it's not really part of our culture to have that kind of succession, but it is something that is needed. We've seen it operate in many other countries, and oftentimes we compare ourselves, and I am one who believes, or the group actually believes, that where there's a best practice that we can emulate and we can probably even make better, that's what we're about. That's what we will do for Dominica.
Ms. Wenham, thank you so very much for taking the time. We appreciate it.
You're welcome, Mr. Murray. It's always a pleasure.
Right, thank you, thank you. We are continuing to bring you a live coverage of the ceremony. Well, the official ceremony has, of course, ended, and pretty much right now, people are, the interested parties, young professionals who are interested are approaching the financial institutions that have set up their booths here, and perhaps beginning to see how they can lay down the groundwork for their future home ownership. Continuing coverage of at least the fair aspect of today's ceremony. The main ceremony, of course, has already taken place, and as we said earlier, young prospective homeowners are meeting with financial institutions or at this moment having necessary conversations, laying the groundwork for perhaps their dream home. Kareem, Bertrand, my goodness, another familiar face. I was telling Miss Wenham earlier that her face is familiar.
Yes.
So is yours.
And interestingly, Fennell and I used to be CARICOM youth ambassadors together. So usually the youth ambassadors, one male, one female, and we did that many years ago. So it's like a full circle moment for us to be here today.
I'm so appreciative of you taking the time to talk with us for a minute. Give us your thoughts on today's launching and so forth. This is new for us in Dominica. And as the Prime Minister, Mr. Austria, I believe, referenced, the Senior Minister referenced, the way people lived before in the past, we are a long ways from that now. And with this new project, it looks like we're going to go even further.
Right. Well, as was indicated, I'm part of the advisory group. So I had some insight and some foreknowledge of what was going to happen today. But you said we are 4 ways away from Mr. Austria's description. I just want to clarify. For me personally, I don't think we're very far. So housing is very important to me, something that's dear to my heart, because I grew up and was raised among my maternal relatives in, a house that my grandfather built in 1976. And that house took care of 10 children, almost 30 grandchildren and great-grandchildren thereafter. And from a young age, I understood the importance of what a house was. It was more than just a house. It was a home. It was a place, something that gave you dignity. It gave you security. And I always feel that the ability to own a home is something that can transform lives. It can really elevate generations. And we've seen the government over the years invest in housing for different categories of people, mothers, people who were disenfranchised by weather, natural disasters. But people like me, young people, trying to make a foot up. We don't fall in a category that society may be deemed necessary, because we're young professionals working in banks and lawyers, etc. So the perception is that we have. But the reality is that we're still not that far away from that little old house that our grandparents raised us in. And this is very transformational, and I feel will really give us the bridge up or cross to really achieve that generational wealth that was alluded to in the minister's remarks.
I suspect, Karim, we're going to hear a lot about this. This issue is going to be talked about a lot going forward, generational wealth.
Right. It is, and I think it's very, very important. There's something that is called black debt in sociology, where you find that a lot of Pan-African people, they're sort of stuck because, you may be the first person to go to university or to get the job, and then you have to bring the whole family across with you, and you never really get to where you want to go because you have everybody on your back. And these sort of things are important because when you compare, Pan-Africans with sometimes the East Indians, the Asian, and these types of people, they really build on generational wealth, and their life outcomes are sometimes far greater than ours. And this is important in our society where right now we're really trying to transform people and get people to a quality of a life where it's more than just getting by, but really being happy. And generational wealth can get you there. And then for people who have children that want to pass that on, just imagine not having to, a child not having to face a bank, and the bank is asking you for collateral, and neither you nor your mother or father has, So that can really make a difference, and it will make a difference as long as it happens according to plan, I believe, personally. So.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome,
Mr. Bertrand.
Yes.
Always appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, you heard Karim Bertrand there. He's a member of the advisory committee as well. And he was he inspired us, basically, what he said, the comments which he made here. We are continuing to seek to find other individuals who might share their thoughts, want to share their thoughts with you as we continue coverage of what is now the final aspect, which will go until 5. That's the fair right now, where individuals who are interested in owning their own home can face the financial institutions who have set up their booths here this afternoon and perhaps begin to lay the groundwork to own that dream home that they always desired. Something I want an interview. Can I have your comments, please, on the... You ready? Yeah. Yep. Nigel? Nigel? As we continue our live coverage here, guess who we have bumped into? The Honorable Rosalind Paul. It's always a pleasure to have you on with us. We know you've been here for the ceremony.
Yes.
Your thoughts, we know about your interest in young people and their development.
Yes.
And to you, this is exciting.
Yes, today is really an exciting moment for the young people of Dominica, the young professionals of Dominica. You know, it cannot be explained, the feeling that one has when you become an owner of a home. Actually, I became an owner of a home at a very young age. I built 25 years ago, and it's the greatest sense of accomplishment you could have. And the turnout today is testimony that we are responding to a felt need of the young people. Many young people, young professionals, will at least be able to own a home. There are certain challenges that they have not been able to overcome, and to be able to probably access a mortgage, but this offers them an opportunity for access to this home and at affordable rates to them. So it's really a moment of gain for the young people of Dominica, young professionals of Dominica, and I would ask them to register and to really take full advantage because this is an opportunity for owning a home and all the benefits that come with it. Yes.
The concept of generational wealth is something that's not widespread in our country. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I use myself as an example. As a single mother, I was able to own my own home, but also able to use the certificate of title to increase my wealth and to benefit my own children as well. So it's very critical. It's one of the most important things. You can own a piece of land and a home because it opens doors for you to develop yourself and your family.
Thank you, Minister. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Okay, Honorable Rosalind Paul there, basically chipping in, giving us her thoughts on this event here today and the launch here today and the whole concept of generational wealth, which is something I believe more and more Dominicans will begin thinking about a little more and perhaps discussing a little more and perhaps making arrangements to really situate that in their own families this thing really takes root, so that down the road things are easier for the next generation. Yeah, one of the yes.
Good morning.
How are you? Okay, now it's time for me to get something to drink and maybe to eat.
I can.
Yes.
Yeah. The man looking for the man, looking for the man,